Welcome to another episode of TRP, the ad. Okay. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of TRP, the Rvest Podcast. In today's episode, as you've already seen by the title down below, thumbnail and everything, we'll be talking about inflation and the cost of living. And as you can already see, I'm not alone. I'm here with an economist, smart people, guys. Best believe when I say he's smart. This guy, introduce yourself, man.
Oh, hey everyone. My name is actually James, and the economist in the making. I would actually put my title. So today, basically, I'm just here to talk to you guys more about inflation and how to actually be economically rational and be informed about not just the country per se, but also about yourself and also what society thinks. Because where we're going to a time where you need to actually add value to yourself. And also that is going to actually, you'll see as we go along, that's going to actually make more sense to you, and it's going to actually help you understand the world better.
Yeah, guys, as you can see by the English, guys, listen. So guys, before we get into the video, please do make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe, and do all of that good stuff. So guys, let's get into the video. So a lot of people don't know what inflation is, man. Do you mind telling us what is inflation? Because we see on the news every time there's inflation, we hear there's a rise in inflation. What does it actually mean? When they say there's 5% increase in inflation, can you please tell us more on inflation and what it actually means? And
Okay. Hello everyone. My name is James, as I said. So basically, inflation in the most simplest term is basically a continuous increase in the price levels over a period of time, right? So what you actually understand, or what you would understand, is that inflation in South Africa, to be precise, it's actually very high. So you see the news, they talk of inflation has increased by 0.2% or 1%, right? So I'm here today to just also talk more about that. So another interesting thing that you should understand, right, is that currently the inflation rate is roughly about 7.8 right now, right?
Of which I think it's not supposed to be there.
According to the inflation targeting is between 3 to 6%, right? So this shows you that there is a high cost of living, right? So inflation is indirectly related to the cost of living because it's sort of a continuous increase in the general price levels, right? So this means that now, if you could afford to buy a car back then, or let's say last year, for example, if you could buy a car that costs around 50, or let's say about 150,000 rand, right? This year, it's not going to really be the same amount. It's probably double the amount. So when we look at inflation, so if we say inflation this year, it's 7.8%, we are saying that cost of the car, precise, it has increased by 7.8%. Right, that is inflation. So looks at the increase in prices of goods and cars and you name it. Right? That's what it actually is.
That's hectic. Because I know there are a few things. Back in the day we used to I don't know, 10 rand. See a 10 rand note. You'd go and they would send you to buy bread. You'd buy bread, baked beans, and etc. Now you can barely even buy bread with that 10 rand. Crazy. Inflation is just something that's so. Still on inflation, what are the causes of inflation, basically? What is actually caused by inflation?
Okay, so basically, I want to actually take it to the South African situation right now, right? So, remember we were hit by COVID. Right. COVID also sort of allowed government to sort of spend more money than it actually should. Right.
So that's not supposed to happen, right?
Right. So now you look at grants were released, right? So more money was spent, and even more money was printed out, right? And now, if you are to now remember very correctly, when money is printed out, right, after a couple of times or a couple of years, what then happens is that the value of the rand or the currency loses its value. So now you need to remember now keeping that in mind, that okay, money was printed out to cover up some sort of costs in COVID time, right? Vaccination and giving people social grants, people who were laid off, government had to give that UIF grants and all that, money was printed for those things. So now we're also hit by that, right? So a decrease in the value of the currency, which is the rand. And then now we're also looking at a situation where the Russian-Ukraine war, right? So remember, we are trade partners with Russia, right? And also in BRICS. And then we also have a bit of some sort of international relation with also Ukraine, right? So now you're in a situation where we're experiencing cost push inflation, right? So cost push inflation basically is when there's an increase in the inputs, right? Inputs of, let's say, goods that you're usually importing from other countries. So if your inputs are expensive, it makes your price more expensive, right? So it's cost push. So the cost has actually been pushed higher. So it pushes the price higher. And then now you are in a situation where bread, it's now almost 20 rand.
It's almost 20 rand.
And
it's
also
crazy,
you realize also that now, from what we're experiencing now, is that we are going to a time where things are no longer the same as they used to be. So last year you'd be able to afford something, but this year you can't anymore. So now you realize that what you actually realize, it's a decrease in the power of consumers. So purchasing power. So we talk about it as economics, purchasing power. So that's what we see. That's what we see.
Oh, okay. So one thing I want to ask now, is there like anything that we like as consumers are doing that puts an that causes an increase in inflation? Is there anything that we are doing?
Yes, actually, I would actually be honest with you and tell you, yes. You know, that's why we also have demand pull inflation.
Oh,
right.
Okay,
so demand pull, it's actually when we as consumers have so much money that we demand excessively. Right. So meaning we have more money to spend. When we have more money to spend, it also increases the price. And when the prices increase, it's inflation again. Demand pull inflation. So, but right now, what's actually happening in South Africa is that we are faced with two things. Number one, the Monetary Policy Committee, they have actually increased the basis points, right, from 50 to 75%. So what happens is that the interest rate on banks to consumers has increased. Right. So keeping that in mind, now you also have the situation of the Ukraine also impacting goods, leading to cost push inflation. Right. And then now we're sitting in a situation where the economy is contracted. So right now we are choked as consumers because banks are increasing their interest rates on our mortgage bonds and our car loans. That's the first thing. Secondly, now government has also restricted our purchasing power by now contracting the economy. Right. So
that in a way that will like reduce inflation.
Well, the idea behind government is to try and reduce inflation from a point of view of the consumer. Right. So when the repo rate increases, it's sort of to decrease the purchasing power of consumers, to reduce demand pull inflation. That's actually the idea behind that. But now the problem is that with that, you are also choking consumers at the same time. Why am I saying that the government is choking consumers? It's because already the inflation rate is high. And now you are choking consumers. So rather you're supposed to, in economics, we look at reverse demand and supply. So when one is high, the other one has to be low. Right. So right now, if the supply of, let's say, something, it's actually so high, demand has to be low to balance it out. But right now, government has increased repo rate, inflation has increased naturally. So you see that it's a sort of a too proportional choke on consumers. That's actually what's happening.
That's hectic,
It's really sad. It's very sad.
And then, like, are there any other things that not necessarily the government, but like we as the people, like we can do in order to reduce inflation? Like any solutions to reduce inflation?
Well, from what I've observed, right, inflation also causes sort of an improvement a bit in unemployment, apparently, and that's funny. Because we look at the Phillips curve, right? And Phillips, he talks about how there's an inverse relationship between inflation and unemployment, right? So what you actually realize is that the inflation, the high level of inflation, sort of indirectly reduces the unemployment rate, actually. But now the problem is that and this is actually an advice I want to give young people, right? So we as young people, we are mostly, we are influenced by society, right? And we are influenced in such a way that we believe what is right and wrong based on what society says, and what is accepted as good for you and not good for you as an individual. But then the mistake that young people are making is that we need to sort of try and have this mentality of investment. Right, that's the first thing. And I'm not talking about investment in, let's say, property or let's say companies, huge companies. No, investment in yourself is very important. Right, it starts there. You cannot invest in something else if you do not invest in yourself. So invest in yourself by gaining extra skills, right? So you can invest in yourself by going to school, right? And also passing well, going to university, getting a good grade and getting a good degree, right? Or you can invest in yourself by trying to at least establish some sort of business that you know you are good at and that you can actually also help the community with. So investing in yourself does not only come in terms of, let's say, education per se, but investing in yourself if you have the means to actually invest in a company, right? You know that you are doing this in return to get a profit, for example. So investing in yourself also comes with that. So if you are to, let's say, tell yourself, listen, I want to actually start investing in myself. So what are the key things to do? So number one, investing in yourself comes with the following responsibilities as well. So number one, if you're investing in yourself, you need to understand your purpose. Right? Understand your purpose, understand your skills. Because that way, if these two things are well understood, there's no way you can go wrong. Because if you know that, listen, I'm not academically smart, for example, but I know I'm good with my hands, right? So you know that, listen, I'm let's say, for example, I'm good in terms of making things. Why don't you go to a plumbing college, for example, or get training from these plumbing informal businesses that will help you at least secure a good skill. And that skill, it can help you add value to yourself, for example.
It can take you far.
It's not really about what society, because society has this view that if you go to varsity, you'll make it. Even people who are in varsity, let me tell you, they're actually unemployed, as we're talking. So it's very important for you to understand your purpose and your skill, because when you come to varsity, you also need to you need to acquire certain knowledge that is more beneficial, not just to you but to society. Some people come to varsity, they study certain courses that are not really going to benefit them in any way.
That is actually
you
true.
see. So it's this mindset of society to say, no, just go to varsity, you'll make it. It's a probability thing. It's a probability that you'll make it based on your purpose and your skills, how well you use that. So that's what I will advise to actually young people. Guys, don't really be be manipulated or don't be controlled by what society thinks is right or wrong, right? You are your own person. It's your future, right? So we when we speak in economical terms, right, we're looking at what you as an individual can also not just bring to yourself, but also to the society at large. Society needs more people who are knowledgeable and who have knowledge that can actually change the world, and not just knowledge that can change themselves. So we want to also say, or I want to personally say to young people, that look into the future as well when you're deciding on a course you want to do. Right? Don't just look at it in terms of, I just want to be employed. Look at it in terms of how you want to make a difference in your country as well. Because that's what we need. We need people who are good at technology, for example.
That's true.
You understand? We need business people who can establish businesses, help government by paying more revenue, company tax to government, to also help build the country. We need economic growth right now. That's what we need. So that's what I would advise.
Okay. So guys, that will be a wrap from us today. You've heard it all. Guys, if you're still in matric or wherever you are, just go to varsity with the sense of knowing what you want to do actually, and in terms of inflation, guys, let's kind of reduce spending.
For my advice,
spending.
Inflation, what I would actually say with regards to inflation is that right now we can't really push for any external forces, right? But for you as an individual, what you can do for yourself is take this lesson that inflation is it actually teaches you that life gets expensive, right? So it's very important for you to add value to yourself, because if I'm to talk to you in the next 20 years from now, things are going to be much more expensive than they are now. So one thing I would tell you is that inflation teaches you that you need to add value to yourself. It's very, very important, because you don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 to 15 years. Definitely things are going to be more expensive. So add value to yourself, secure a job or secure a good skill that's going to give you income and that you're going to use to survive. And not just survive, but also change your world, change your whole home situation, change even the country as well. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed and hope you guys learned something new, hey.
Yeah.
So from me and James, we signing out, hey.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers.